and I'm going to bring in those pieces so I didn't see which was which. So that's the 36-inch one. Great. So I bring that in, and actually that's going to be my vertical leg. Let's say I cut it down to whatever length I wanted. Now I want my horizontal leg. That's probably going to be that one. Yeah. Let's just say that's going to be it. And then I want another one of these. And then I can go ahead and mate those together. And so I like to kind of line stuff up first and then rotate them. And so I'm going to say I want that face and that face to be lined up. And then I want that face and that face to be lined up. So now they're all on the same plane, right? They're all on the same plane. Now I can tell it I want that face and that face to face each other. Now I can say I want that face and that face to face each other. And I want that face and that face to be lined up with each other. And I want that face and that face to be offset by 10 inches. And now none of these parts move. Okay, does that make sense? And I can realize, oh, I probably move that up more. I'll go to the mate. And at that one and make it 15. There we go, that's better. So this is my first assembly of my legs. I'm gonna save this. So save all that. I'm gonna call it legs. So there's my first sub-assembly. And so this was the 14 and the 15. So now I'm gonna make a new assembly. I can either just do a straight new one or I can make a new one from this part. Since I want to use this in the next level up, I'm gonna do that. So you kind of work from the bottom up. Remember, it's called bottom up. We make the parts, we put those into the first level assembly. We put that assembly into the next level with additional parts. We put that in the next level assembly with additional parts, and so on. And so now I can bring in this one, there, and then insert component, and I'm going to do that one, just the longer piece there. And again, I'm going to stick it together. So I'm going to make a copy of these, and I'm going to put them together. So I know how I want these lined up, right? So I'm just going to mate there to there. And I want the bottoms to be lined up, so I'm going to pick on those things. So now it can move up and down, but it can't move any other direction. So when I put this one in, that's going to control that distance. So I'm going to go there to there, and then line up the bottom of that. And then line up the other side.
Mating look so easy, or you make mating look so easy. I think I just need to follow the plan like how you're doing it.
It is easy. You pick the two things you want to line up. That's it. It's just pick the flat plane that you want to line up with the other flat plane. And then tell it, go the same direction, go the opposite direction, or have an offset, or have an angle. That's all it is. It is not super hard. I know that there's a lot of things to pick the right face, but if you always pick this face and that face, you know that those are going to always line up with each other. Those are the outermost faces. So just practice doing that. The more you practice it, the better you get. And so that's where having the 3D mouse really comes in handy, because you can flip it around and pick the different faces without having to stop in orbit and zoom differently. But you can see there's that assembly now. Oh, look, that thing still moves this way. So now I need to center that. So what should I have probably done before I started putting this together? I kind of skipped a couple of steps. So once I brought in the parts, I'm just using them as their default length, right? So if you wanted to adjust any of these, do that before you start mating them. Because once you mate them and you cut off that end face isn't there anymore. Even though there's another end face here, it's not the same face. So it'll break the mate. So adjust all the lengths first and then bring it in and start mating it. But it doesn't have to be the exact length. As long as you make it some kind of cut, then it'll be okay. But if I cut these from the other side, then it'll be okay. Yeah.
On the bottom where you made it, where you did, I think it was 15.
Mm-hmm.
You measured 15. If you cut it 5, will it move up?
No, because right now it's based on that face. If I cut 5 inches off of that, that face is going to be gone.
Okay.
So it's going to break the mate. So like if I go in and see that, so I can save this. Yep, rebuild and save. I'm going to make this frame. So if I go back to this one, and how can I edit this part? There's two
You
ways I
gotta
can
go back to the individual part file to edit
Yep.
it.
So I can either right click on this part file and open it and edit it. But if I do that, how do I know which end I'm cutting off? I don't.
You don't.
So if I edit in place though, now I know which end I'm cutting. So if I do edit in place, now I can edit it here and I can see what I'm doing. But if I create a sketch on here and I pick that thing and convert it and say okay, and then extrude cut, and I'll cut off 5 inches, then revert. Hey, what do you know? That mate still works. Oh, look, missing face. That face is gone. Because it's, even though there's another bottom face there, it's not the same bottom face. So I just have to go into it, delete that, come back in, pick this new bottom, and say okay. Also, look, yep. This one isn't, there it is. So when I did that, it fixed that other quits and it realized, oh, okay, you changed that face to this face on that mate. Do you want me to do it on the other ones also? And so it fixed it. Older versions would not have done that. But if I cut it off the top part, then it wouldn't have been an issue, right? I just wanted to show you that you can update the mate if you do change it. But it'd be better to change the length before you do the mates. So get the part done, to have all the features you want, kind of the overall that you're going to use to mate it before you start putting it into the assembly. So I can save this. Oh, what I forget. I forgot some stuff in here.
The brackets and the casters.
Brackets. So I'm just going to throw brackets in since I did those. So I'll bring one of those in. I'll paste another one in. And I'll mate these. So mate. I want to line it up kind of the best way I can first. So I'm going to go from there to there. And, ooh. Oh, I can't see it. Pull it out a little bit. There, I got it. It's going the wrong way, but I want this face to go to this face, right? And it'll rotate it over for me. Now I want it to be centered, because I don't think it's the same width. Is it? Maybe. I want to center it though, right? How can I center that?
you select the center of one of the top or bottom lines and put that, what is it? Perpendicular
Even
to
easier.
one of the vertical lines?
No, even easier.
Can't you do those the two little triangles on top in between the rail?
But how do I tell it to
No.
be in between
Um,
and be centered? Because maybe this gap is probably bigger than those are, right?
you're right. Okay.
Did you draw like positioning, like expansion?
Select a midpoint.
Remember, yeah, select the midplane. Those things have midplanes in them, right? If I click on here, it expands out my parts. So if I look at this part right here, so when I scroll down, and I'm not touching on stuff, I'm just hovering, it highlights that orange, that's that piece. I can click on the arrow, and I can look and say, oh look, there's a plane going right down the middle of that part. Just click on it. And I'm gonna move my mouse up here, and oh, look, there's that part. Let me look at it, and oh, there's a plane going right down the middle of it. Not this one, I want it that one. Click on those two, bam. They line up. And there we go. And actually, I'm not even going to use this other one that I made, because I'm going to mirror. I'm going to say, no, I don't want that. Let's see this part here. Which one is that? Is that this part here? So where are its planes? So there's a plane. Oh, there's a plane right in the middle of it. So that's good. There's already a plane there. Because I didn't change the length of it. If you adjust the length of one side of it, is that plane going to be in the middle anymore? No. And then I can just make a new plane though, right? I could also make a plane here just by going to reference geometry in the assembly. So if I pick reference geometry and I pick this face there, and I come over here and pick the same face on this side, look, what'd it do? Gave me a midplane. Boom. And now I can tell it, mirror component. My mirror plane is going to be this plane here. My
Excuse me,
component,
Mr. Thornburg.
yes.
Sorry about that, but my Zoom like blacked out. Can you please do that again? It like froze.
Which part?
The part where you select the midplane.
I just expanded this right here,
Yes, sir.
and it came down and picked plane.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
And then for components to mirror, just grab that there. And then this is where in SolidWorks, usually you want to hit the green arrow, but look right here. There's these side-to-side arrows. It means that this command has multiple steps, and if you just click this, it's not going to ask you the steps. So click the next arrow. Now it's going to ask you what you want to do. So do you want to make a mirrored component in both directions? Do you want to mirror it across the line but keep the same? Or do we want to create an opposite hand version? So if I do this, it's going to use that same part and kind of flip it around to put it here. If I put it here, it's going to make it go that way, make that way, make that way. All these are reusing that same part. If I click this one, it'll make a new part file with an opposite version. So like if one of these sides had the gusset and one side didn't, now it could make a left and right hand version. But I want to use the exact same thing, so I'm going to pick this one, and I'm going to say okay. And boom, there it goes. And it's locked in place. Now I can save this, minimize that, and okay. Let me go back to this one. A mate's messed up. What mate do you think is messed up? Remember I told the bottom of these two to be the same? The bottom of them to line up with each other? And then I erased that bottom plane. So now I want to delete those and just redo it.
So what I'm seeing is mates in this is kind of like automatically doing the datum little boxes, because those tell you what's in relation to what plane or what face.
Kind of, but
Like that's what's reminding me of this.
it just
of the-
you're even overthinking it. It's just what lines up with what. That's all the mate is. So in Fusion, the mate controlled the exact point that lined up, and in SolidWorks, we're just lining up the planes, and you're always going to need 3 of them. And try and do the use planes. Don't pick edges. Don't pick points, because a plane will lock down 2 degrees of freedom, or 3 degrees of freedom. Or the edge will only lock down 2 degrees of freedom. A point will only lock down 1. So try and use, if you have flat surfaces that are going to go together, use those surfaces. Okay? Because like yesterday, when it was angled in, we didn't have flat surfaces. We'd had to do a face to an edge and a face to another edge to do the same thing we could do with just 2 faces. So take your time, like get your parts as done as they are. They can be first before you start assembling. So adjust your lengths, all of that before you start putting it together. And then bring your parts, and so it, also, that's a really bad name, right? It would have been a lot easier if I had gone in, made my edits, and named them leg, crossmember, stretcher, or whatever, and actually gave them names for the file names, because remember, this is always going to be whatever the file name is. And so it makes it a little bit easier to keep track of things. What's one other thing I haven't done so far? What? I've saved a lot. I just did. But I need a top to this thing, right? So look, actually, did I have the top the other day, or did I erase it? I erased it. So I'm going to do a new top. I know this isn't the right size. I'm just going with something. All right. There we go. So I have my top. Pretend this is like my top assembly. If I'm doing a 2-step one. I have my frames. If I go to my home position, look at it. That's not the way the table goes. Does that matter?
Yes.
No, it doesn't matter. It's just the way it's looking on the screen. I can go to this, and now it looks the right way. It would be nicer if I had built it going the correct way. But that would have meant I would have had to unconstrain that leg, the original leg, and reconstrain it, because I brought it in sideways and I want it to be vertical. So maybe if I brought in this piece first and left it horizontal and then made these ones vertical to it, that would have saved time. Or otherwise I would have had to float this one. So instead of having it fixed, I could float it and then reconstrain this to these planes. But that's a lot of work. I mean, it's not a lot of work, just 9 extra clicks. Yeah.
Would that affect the drawing?
Nope. Nope. Because I'll show you that. So it kind of, it makes it one more step on the drawing, but it saved 9 clicks here. So, but if I planned it out better and done this one first, it'd been okay. But I did it on purpose to show you that it doesn't matter. A lot of people will get hung up on, oh no, it's going the wrong way. I need to flip my UCS and change it and change my coordinate system so it matches and da-da-da. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. So I have this, hit save, close that, close that. I need to do my top level assembly, right? Going to go in, make an assembly. Which part should I bring in first, the top or the frame?
The
top.
frame, so you.
The
Oh.
top. Why the
Okay.
top?
Because this is the tops assembly.
Oh,
Or this is the full assembly.
This is the full assembly. Pretend this top is the top assembly. I just don't want to make that extra step because I erased the one that I made the other day. But why would I bring the top and not the frame assembly that we just worked on?
Because the program will see the first thing you bring in as the higher assembly.
They're all coming in together. But yeah, it's going to be the first item in the bill of material, but that's not really as big an issue. But what were we just talking about?
Can't be lined up.
It's our top is in the right orientation, right? Bring that in.
You're gonna mate the frame to the top, and
Yep.
it's gonna have the table looking correctly how it's supposed to.
Yep.
So you assemble that.
Yep. So in this assembly, I start with this one. So now when I bring that frame, it's going to flip it up and line it up correctly to this.
When you go home, it's gonna be properly placed.
Yep. So
Fixes our drawing at that point.
for this drawing, yeah. But it's on the frame drawing, I'm still going to have to rotate it. But that's fine. That's easy. So all right, it's in. I need to line these up. Yeah, mates. Spin it around. Grab the top of that. And the bottom of that. Oh, look, it rotated. And now I need to center it, and I want this centered on it. How can I make it centered?
You look for the plane.
You look for the planes. Remember, in here I've got center planes, right? I've got, on the top I've got a plane going that way. So let me see in here where I got it. Oh, look, a plane right there. Boom. Done. And now I got a plane going that way. And, oh, I don't have any planes going that way right here. Let's look down in here. Probably on this one. Oh, there's a plane right there. So you can use either the planes from the assembly level there or from that other part within that.
So you can shop through them.
Mm-hmm. And so, save this as that full. And of course, I need to have my brackets and stuff. But there's one thing I've forgotten to do in this process. I mean, pretend the T-molding's on that top. Or I'm doing
Right.
one without T-molding.
You need to put another mate for the tabletop to center it on another
Nope. Nope.
plane wise.
Nope. I already have to do mates. Top to the bottom, center that way, center that way.
Oh, I didn't see the second center.
I know it's fast. That's sneaky. So, I've done all the mates, but there's something that's gonna not be right when I do my drawing. Let's make the drawing and see. So I'm gonna make a drawing. Go back to novice. Let's do a drawing. And I'm gonna browse and find my sheet format. Say okay. And I'll bring that front view and an isometric and a side view. Uh-oh, something wasn't straight there. I guess it didn't center out that way. Some measurement was off. Oh, because this is off. This is not centered, right? And I centered it based on this part.
So I was right.
So, all right, let's just go back and edit that. Open. So yeah, look, I centered it on that assembly, which was centered on this, right? Oh, what? It's there. Oh, apparently. So I'm going to go back to this assembly. I'm just going to go in and edit that assembly. And I'm going to throw a plane in here. Between that one and that one. So now I'm going to do where is that mates? Going that way. Edit that one. Take that one off there and put it on to be that plane. Now it's centered. Close it, save all. Boom, done. Go in here, tell that to be shaded with edges. So there we got those. What's another thing I need on a assembly drawing that I just said? I need my bill of materials, right? There. Top level only. Make sure all that's just the same. Say okay. Uh-oh. I didn't assign any properties. Remember, I want this to be that custom property, and I can't pick part number because I didn't make it. If I go and make that next page, and I put in the model view, and I pick in my frame assembly, uh-oh, see, it's going that way. I want it to go the other way. So remember, I can just go rotate view, click on it, tell it to go 90. And now I can project that view down. And then from here, I can project across so I can see, oh, those are upside down. So maybe I should have done this view first so I could rotate that one the right way. So if I rotate that, rotate it. It also rotates these other views. Oh, no, it didn't. Should have. Let's just erase those in. And then I'll just project from here. And actually, yeah. Then I'll project from here. So you don't have to have them all projecting from the same view, but now they're still linked together. Now they're linked through this one. Now I can call that out and call it its bill of materials. And if I change this to be with the McMaster-Carr's part numbers automatically have that as part number. But again, my number one item doesn't have anything. So I didn't go through and add in my properties when I created those assemblies either, right? So remember, that's a step you need to do. So if I go in and open that assembly, and go to my properties, edit my description, edit my part number. So description, frame sub-assembly, part number something. Save. Come on. Sometimes you have to reopen it. Oh, that's gonna give me it on this one, right? There, frame sub-assembly. But I need to change the part number of the leg sub-assembly. That's what that one is. So I need to go in and open that up. So open the leg sub-assembly. Save that. And there you go. You can see that one's got that now. And then if I open up there's that one. I need to open up the top. Edit it. There you go. And then I create the leg sub-assembly. There we go. And look, it's even facing the right way. Go away. Even though those all have the part number because that's the file name, I'm still going to change it to be the other one just to be consistent. Okay, but on the here description, I should probably have the length of those pieces, right? So, and this isn't just T-slot framing, that's the T-slot corner bracket or something like that. So probably go in, edit that part, change it to be corner bracket. Does that make sense? So now I have full assembly, my next level assembly, and then my next level assembly. And I didn't edit any parts, so I don't need any part drawings, except for the top. Yes.
Since McMaster has the descriptions of all the part numbers, how do we change that?
Okay.
To a custom one?
Let's look at that. So I'm gonna go to this one, go there, go into my custom properties here, and they're all there. So description is T-slot framing. Yeah, great, but I want to call this T-slot corner bracket, and make sure that it's all caps. Save it. Close it. This one is going to be, that's 12 inches, so I'm going to edit this part. Oh, can I go properties here? Nope. I was hoping it'd let me go to the properties, the file properties, but it doesn't. I want to turn that off. I don't want to keep seeing that. And I'm going to call this maybe that's what I want to call it. I'm going to copy that. There you go. Save it. Close that. That part. This one is, change this length so it's 31 inches. And this is the tedious part. But you have to do this in all the programs somewhere. You have to do something to give you, to fill out the title block correctly. In Fusion, it's in the properties for the component. Here, it's the properties of the part files and the assembly files. But now you can see my bill of material has some more meaning to it now. Also, this view, before you say that, it's kind of messy, right? So if I right-click on the view, and I go down here to tangent edge, I want tangent edge removed. And this is what I always like to do. And so it takes out like half those lines. On things that have a lot of tangent edges, it simplifies the view. And And actually for this one, I'll probably even just do the shaded, not even the shaded with edges. Okay. What was your question?
So we have the leg this sub-assembly,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have the H sub-assembly after that. How do I need two different sheets for each side, or can I call out?
Nope, it's the same thing you're using twice, right?
Or is it just assumed?
Look, nope, it's telling you here. There's this one thing, I'm using it 2 times.
Okay, that's what we're calling it. Gotcha.
Yep, so remember I gotta put my balloon on there. And so I can say boom there, and boom there. So you can see that those are both number 1.
Yeah, I didn't see the call out.
And then when I go here, there's that. And that's that whole lower frame. And when I go here, and I always like to make the call outs for balloons off the isometric. That's a good place for it. And so just do your balloons there. Because you don't dimension to the isometric, it's there for clarity. This is a clarity thing. It lets you see what is what. And so, yeah, maybe we can do one here. You can do it on just one side or you can do it both. And I need to put the brackets in there. And so I can do that too, or I can right click on this one maybe. And there it is. So if I hold control and drag it, now I can make that point at 2 different things. If it's on the surface, it's going to be a point. If it's on the edge, it's going to turn to an arrow. And that's the way it's supposed to be. But yeah, so if you just grab your, so let's do it up here. I move this up here. So I move that arrow here, and I hold control, and I click on it, and I can drag it over there. So now it's pointing at 2 different things. Either way, having 2 different number 1s, pointing from other sides, pointing at the same thing at multiple ones, they all work. You just wanted to make it easy so that people know what's what. And like I said on the update yesterday, because these we're supposed to have, when you buy it, they come pre-installed, just like they are on the table right now. If you go and look at it, I'm not making you do the fasteners. If you want to have the fasteners, make this a sub-assembly first before you, with the fasteners in it, before you start putting on the pieces. So that way you don't have to do a bunch of things of the corner bracket and then the screws and all that stuff, okay? Because we're buying the corner bracket. We're not buying the screws separately, so we don't want those to show up in the bill of materials. And you wouldn't need a drawing of that because it's a unit that you're buying together, even though you had to make it a sub-assembly. Does that make sense? All right, any other questions on this? Does that help clarify what I'm looking for?
Yes,
And
sir, a lot.
if you don't do it in these exact sub-assemblies, that's fine. You could have done this sub-assembly, this piece here, and then just added the 4 legs. A lot of people just did this whole frame as one sub-assembly. That's okay for this one, but it gives you're doing more work, right? Because you're having to do all the mates from this part to this part to this part twice instead of just doing it one time. But you could do it one side and then mirror it to the other side if you wanted to. But making sure not just use the mirror components, not the mirror and create a new part, because these aren't opposites. But that way it works also. You can draw on one side, mirror those components to the other side. It's still going to count as the same parts in your sub-assembly. Don't do all the mates for all these things individually. That's extra work for you, right? We don't want to do extra work. Be smart about how you're doing the work. Use the tools to do it better. And that's kind of why I like sub-assemblies, because I can say, all right, this is my step. I'm going to put this, I'm going to put these together. I'm going to have a stack of these. And then once I go to the next step, I'm going to take these, I'm going to add this one other part, and now I'm going to have some of these frames set up. Then I'm going to go ahead and stick them on here. And actually, this might be where I put the casters on, because I'm going to turn this upside down, put the legs on it. Now the holes are pointing up, I drop casters onto them, and then flip it over and it's done. right? Or maybe I leave the casters off at this step and there's another level where we put in the casters and end caps and things. Maybe that's the assembly at the client site. Maybe they can choose whether they want casters or levelers. Right, so levelers just make it go up and down so it's level. Casters make it so it's going to roll around. Maybe we want to have the option they can choose either one, but the same base table is the same no matter what. If you put the casters on at the first step, then you have to take those off if they want levelers. Does that make sense? And so kind of thinking through, again, when we're designing parts, how might this change? Design assemblies, how might this change? How do we want to stage these things in the factory?
So if we do give the option to do it on-site, how do we know what you call it out?
Well, it would just be another assembly. Maybe make two different options, one of these, one of these. And so in the files, that actually goes to what we're going to talk about next week, or in the future where we're talking about making similar things. One thing we can do is we can right-click and we can suppress things. So like I just turned off those. And so I can set it up so I have one version of it with casters and another version of it with levelers. And then I can make a drawing of each version without having to do everything else twice. And that way it goes out. And this could also be, maybe I'm not putting this together at all in my shop. But now these drawings here, these are gonna go into the manual. You know, we're gonna artsy them up a little bit and stick them in the assembly manual. So that way they can tell the client, the customer, how to assemble this thing on their own, right? Does that make sense? But it's still one step at a time. It's easier to put together 5 things than it is to put together, 5, 10, 11, 12, 13 things. I don't have 13 hands. I can't hold all that stuff. I have to tighten something before I can put the other stuff in, right? I can't just have all this sliding loose and then trying to tighten everything at once. I have to do some tightening, and that's where I like to make my sub-assemblies. What thing can I do, get it done, before I can put it together into the bigger section? Okay? So, this is a good practice for mates, for you to work on putting your mates together. That's the biggest thing in SolidWorks assemblies is just pick the 2 faces you want to go together. They're either going to go facing each other or go the same direction, and then after that, or at an angle, and after that, go touching or spaced apart. Those are the options. And so practice doing that. Make some like little cubes, and make a little cut in corner or use the chain link, and try and put together different ways. Like I want this side to face this side and look like this, and see if you can do it. Okay? Does that make sense?